Can I hold this? Is that okay? Everyone can hear me? Okay. We have a short video because how many people have rowed a boat before? Raise your hand. You're pretty good. How many people know of the sport of rowing and have watched it? Okay, so there's a few people who don't know the sport. So as John said, I went to the Olympics in 2021. It was the first postponed Olympic Games of all times. So I have a really short race video that I want to share with you all. Power, 16 legs together, blades digging deep, and then getting more linear, quick and clean, Everyone is off the line. Sit up tall, push your legs down, nothing else matters. Go for Canada! So Thank you. So that race probably will always give me goosebumps. But one interesting thing about the Olympics was that there was no spectators. And, rowing isn't a really spectator-friendly sport, so that's okay. We normally only get spectators in the last 400 meters. But normally we get to have our friends and our family and our loved ones at the finish line. And any high-performance athlete would say they would not be who they are without all the people that supported them. And so it was very strange to celebrate without my mom and dad and without my friends and coaches over the years. So talking about community and really what CHFI is all about is that community element. So some of the pictures behind me are from when I was a little girl. So I actually didn't do many community sports growing up. There's one picture there of me playing field hockey, but I was not very good. I was not good. I had no hand-eye coordination. All the typical sports like volleyball and basketball and track, I squeaked onto the team. I actually loved to dance, and I loved to sing. So thanks, Dana, for that incredible performance. But I also love to sing, and I sing opera. And so that was really my background before I found the sport of rowing. And then when I joined rowing, I thought, wow, what an incredible community. I go in a circle if I row alone because I want more. I literally need someone else there that's on the same page as me, that's going to work as hard as me every single day to get the outcome that we want to get. So it's known as obviously the most stereotypical teamwork sport, right? You always see all the 8 rowers up on the billboards. But it was an incredible sport for me to join when I was about 13 or 14 years old. And I only joined because my mom wanted me to try out because she was already driving my brother to rowing practice. So I had signed up for volleyball, and quickly we rerouted to, I want you to do an outdoor sport, and I only want to drive to one place each day. And what a good decision she helped me make, because I wouldn't have the friends and the places I've traveled to and the lessons I've learned through sport without that decision. So when I was thinking about this panel and talking about youth and how they have a phone strapped to their hand now, and I grew up with BBM and Facebook, so not like the TikTok dopamine extreme responses that you get now, but even then, you have to make an active decision to want to be outside and be active and be with your community. So I thought of me before I went to the Olympics, when I was on the national team, and then myself before I was in the national team and I was a collegiate athlete, and then before I was a collegiate athlete when I was a high school athlete, and then for myself when I took my first stroke, right? So there's so many versions of you before you get to whatever your pinnacle of your career is. And now I'm retired and I'm looking at my sport of rowing and the 14 years I spent in a boat, in the rain, in the cold, with some people I didn't really like sometimes, with some people I really liked, with incredible coaches, with bad coaches, and you create the narrative of that storyline. And I just feel so thankful for sport and everything it's taught me. But I was never the best athlete on the rowing team. I was normally, until my final year going to the Olympics, I was normally the second or the last to second person to make the 8. And when I look back at what I was good at, I was good at making every single person around me better. I was good at encouraging them. I was good at making them feel like I was on their side whenever I got in a boat with them. And that's what my teammates always say about me. They say, even if there's someone else faster, I want to pick Madison to be my boat because I know that we're going to have a better experience. And normally when we're having fun and we love what we do, we're going to do it better. So we all know the end of my rowing career. I'm still an athlete. I still consider myself an athlete. I run a lot. I do lots of active things. That's a huge piece of my happiness. But one story I did want to share is about resiliency and what is taught through sport. Because people could, let's name some things that people think sports or being active has taught them. Let's see some hands. I could say teamwork, discipline, resiliency, time management, for sure, when you're a university athlete, managing lots of different schedules. Motivation, perseverance, how to lose, how to win, humility, yes, because everyone at that start line has worked just as hard as you.
See solutions when the problems come.
Yeah, exactly. Always looking for the solution, because normally in a race especially, you don't have long to think about the problem. So for me, one of the biggest things was resiliency and grit, and how that has now come into my life of investment management and watching people with their life journey, the way they think it's going to go. And it often doesn't go the way you think it's going to go, and it's how you respond to the things that don't go the way that you want them to go. And I say respond intentionally, not react, because reacting is an emotion, and responding is after you've thought about what you're going to do. So I just wanted to share one story, and then we can do the panel part, and you can hear from everyone else. It's amazing that's sitting up here with me today. But as I said, I went to the first postponed Olympic Games of all times. It was 2020. I was selected for my first Olympic team, and this is something that every athlete dreams of. 2 days later, we got a message that Canada pulled out of the Olympics, and the Japanese IOC was then going to postpone the Olympics. And so I remember we were in the boathouse. There was a chalkboard, and it said 131 days till the Olympics. And every day we came across that out and wrote the countdown. And my teammate went and wiped that out and wrote, "To be determined." And I was like, oh God. To be determined, because we don't even have a date yet. And so talking about moving goalposts and what sports and being active can do for you, that was an incredible moving of a goalpost that was really firmly in my mind, that I'm going to race in the Olympics July 30th, 2020. Now, potentially, I didn't have that date. And then we had to move home, talking about digital. We made a group chat called Minds of Steel, and we wrote in that group chat every day. Competitive group started off with, who could go for a walk each day. Then it went to who can chug their protein shake the quickest. And then it turned into really difficult pieces, of course, that we would all track our times on. And that allowed us to stay connected. And then when we came back together, we all actually understood each other even better as human beings. People moved back to Quebec, back to Ontario, back to Vancouver, and they showed pictures of their families, some their husbands or wives that they had left behind to train on the pursuit of excellence. And so that human element was really incredible of COVID, right? And then for us, we came back together. We couldn't even row in a women's 8 because that was too many people in a node. So we rowed in pairs and singles and doubles. And we only got back in the 8 actually about 3 months before the games. So pretty crazy. And then I got selected for the women's 8, which was very exciting. I made big gains, I think mostly because your biggest devil is between your head most of the time, and I started to believe in myself. And then we got selected. We were the fastest boat for Canada. And then the next day we went up Strathcona Lodge. It's a beautiful area. And we went on a recovery bike ride after a row. And there was a really tragic bike accident. Literally the unthinkable happened. 3 of my teammates smashed into the concrete. And we no longer had a women's 8. So talk about a lesson that probably looking at a screen could not teach you. You've already had your goal pushed back a year, but now I don't even have 8 rowers to sit at the Olympic start line with. So you obviously saw the race. There was 8 of us. It's okay. 9 of us with the coxswain. We flew to Japan with a spare. Kasha, one of my teammates, broke her clavicle and got 56 stitches all over her body. She was able to seat race back for her seat, and she beat the spare by 0.23 of a second. So the spare deserves a gold medal too. I've always said we needed 10 medals, 1 to give to her. But then when we moved into the Olympic Village, then we found out that all our racing was going to be pushed forward 2 days because there was a typhoon going through Japan. And you know, that threw off every other country there, but it didn't throw us off because we were the most resilient country that was at that Olympics in that sport. So I feel very proud of coming home with an Olympic gold medal, but really, it's got nothing to do with that result. It's a great souvenir to bring home, but it has to do with that journey and all the people that were a part of it. And sure, I am the 1% maybe that the little high school rower is looking up to. And I now speak to thousands of our youth on the North Shore in Vancouver. And my soon-to-be husband is in the back row over there. He's also an Olympic rower. And we do lots of keynotes together because I find his perspective. He went to 2 games. He came 10th in the Tokyo Olympics. And we do lots of talks together about our journeys and how different they were. But hopefully one kid in the audience resonates. And most recently I met a parent and she said, "Oh, my daughter had an Olympic rower come speak at her school." And I was like, "Oh, probably me, but maybe one of my teammates." And she said, "Oh yeah, she actually went to UCLA and she walked onto the rowing team. She had never heard of the sport before, and she just won the most improved athlete for the NCAA championships that's happening this weekend for the sport." And she messaged me on Instagram, and she said, "You ran into my parent." And I said, "Oh yes, okay, this all makes sense." But you know, if you can have one of those stories, it makes speaking and spreading a little inspiration and talking about a weird sport that not a lot of people get to do, all worth it. So I'm super happy to be on the board of advisors and to be working with such a great movement and to really help Canada be that fittest nation by 2030. I'm ready to do anything I can. So thanks, John.